Live from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, home of the New York Football Giants. It might be a hot day in July, but it's time to get ready for the 2016 NEC football season. It's Media Day. Good morning, everybody. Joined by Paul Dottino. I am John Schmelk. Welcome to NEC Football Media Day 2016. We will preview the NEC football season. And Paul, this is always an exciting day. You're getting ready for a season that is always unpredictable. You never know who's going to wind up on top.
No, a lot of parity in this league, and boy, what a great finish last year, John. You know, we had the de facto championship game with Duquesne at home knocking off the St. Francis Red Flash in a really terrific battle, and of course Duquesne then in at Donnybrook against William and Mary in the first round of the FCS playoffs.
And over the course of our show, we will hear from the head coach of every NEC football team. You see the helmets in front of us, a coach and a couple players from every single school, and we'll be joined by Matt Harmon as well with some special guests later on in the show. But to start things off, let's take a look at the NEC Coaches Preseason Poll. And Paul, when you take a look at it, Duquesne, last year's champion, #1, got 6 first-place votes.
And that's really no surprise. I mean, they've got their franchise quarterback and Dylan Beekle back and a number of outstanding players. But how about this for a point, John? You talk about parity in the Northeast Conference. Each of the 7 teams has their starting quarterback back from last year to at least compete for the starting job this season.
And Duquesne, you mentioned, they lost 52-49 in the FCS playoffs last year. They hope to get back this season. But they'll have to get through Sacred Heart. You mentioned quarterbacks returning. They have R.J. Noel back behind center.
Yeah, R.J. Noel is the most dangerous dual threat quarterback in the Northeast Conference. And remember, before Duquesne won last year's championship, Sacred Heart had the previous 2 FCS playoff bids from this conference.
They got 1 first-place vote, and the team that lost in that de facto championship game at the end of last year, the Red Flash of St. Francis, they're #3 on our poll.
Well, mentioned it before, St. Francis was in that de facto championship game. They were oh so close. Coach Chris Valario has really done a great job building that program. You know they're going to be in the mix again.
Absolutely. They lost that game 30-20, a very close contest. Last year's #1 team in the preseason coaches poll was Bryant. They come in at #4 this year.
And again, Marty Fine done a great job building the program, but they've yet to get over the hump. They still want that first ever Northeast Conference championship, and they're getting oh so close. We'll see if they can do it this year.
And then finally, Central Connecticut State, Robert Morris, and Wagner round out the top 7.
And you know, we talk about parity, which means everybody does have a chance, but these teams right now, you got to think they need to get off to good starts if they're going to be in the mix, because the competition up top is pretty tough.
Now that's a look at the teams. Let's take a peek at some of the All-NEC preseason all teams in terms of the individual players. And Paul, on offense, you see every single team in the conference represented.
Well, that to me is, again, the indication of parity in this league. All 7 teams have at least 1 rep on first-team all-conference preseason selections. And I just think that when you look at what's happened in this conference, every team has done a great job with their scholarships. Every team has done a great job with their coaching staffs. They're getting the best skill positions that the people have to offer in the Northeast.
And no surprise, the quarterback leading the way, Dylan Beekle. He had an injury-plagued year 2 years ago. Last year he was healthy, and boy, was he great. 2nd team All-NEC, and he led Duquesne to that title.
Well, he is your typical pocket passer, John, and when he gets back there and just revs it up and starts winging it, he could do a lot of damage. Wayne Capers is going to be his #1 target this year, and I'll tell you something else. Beekle's also moving up on the NEC's all-time passing records list in a number of different categories.
A couple of young running backs, Marcus Bagley and Cameron Nash. Nash, 2nd team All-NEC last year. Then Ryan Owings, the tight end out of Wagner, Paul. He led that team in both catches and receiving yards last year.
Well, you know, people talk about the outcoming of the tight ends. You know, like in the NFL, all of a sudden there's a bunch of them now that are really good. Well, it's starting to trickle down to the college level, and this is somebody you're going to want to keep an eye on.
And a lot of turnover in the NEC at wide receiver. 2 of the great receivers in the conference, Tyler Doobie, Chris King, they've graduated. So you kind of have a new group here, including Kyle Buss out of Robert Morris, last year's NEC Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, you know, the sky's the limit. We know Robert Morris has a new offensive coordinator. Mike Miller, who's under the old Joe Walton regime, has come in. I'm interested to see Is he going to feed that horse, try to get that ball downfield? It could be a lot of fun.
And then a couple of really impressive offensive linemen. You see the 5 there. All-NEC first-team members Tyler Cardoz out of Bryant and Ben Huss out of Duquesne last year. Now, Paul, let's take a look at the defense. And, boy, you have some really impressive defensive-minded coaches in this league, and they take advantage of their personnel.
Yeah, you know, John, we talk about it every year. The defense wins championships, and it's clear that these coaching staffs have put a tremendous emphasis on that front 7 in particular. You got a bunch of guys who can really get to the quarterback and stuff the run.
You got Ryan Cottrell, second-team All-NEC last year. Then when you take a look at the linebackers, Paul, we'll hear from Christian Kuntz later on in the show. 10 sacks, 26 tackles for loss, led the NEC in 4 interceptions. He does it all.
There's not much you can say about him except that he's Superman. At least that's what he is to opposing offenses when they try to go up against him in this league. He really is a phenomenal player.
And then you take a look at the secondary. We'll hear from Lorenzo Jerome later on in the show as well. He is Mr. Do Everything.
Well, you know, he does everything on kick returns. I mean, he's an All-American special teams guy, but don't forget what he does in the secondary. You're absolutely right, John. It's a tremendous athlete, spindly, wiry, and he really gets after it.
And, of course, the rest of the guys in the secondary, 3 All-NEC performers from last year. Marcellus Branch, first-team All-NEC, and then Chucky Wingate and then Issa Megara. They'll both be joining us later on in the show, Paul. They were second-team All-NEC last year. And finally, special teams. You see Lorenzo Jerome there. Then Lance Giese, one of the best kickers in the country. He'll be joining us later on today as well.
He is only 1 field goal shy of the all-time NEC career field goal record. Giese has made his mark on the Red Flash.